everybody. My name is Allison. I'm the Programs Outreach and Youth Services Manager here at Monterey County Free Libraries. Thank you for joining me this evening for another episode of Book Chat. Tonight, I am going to be chatting with you about a book I just finished reading called Destination Wellness: Global Secrets for Better Living Wherever You Are by Annie Daly. And this was a very interesting book to me. I'm very interested in wellness and mental health, and the author in this book travels to different countries to learn more about how different countries view wellness and some different things that are incorporated into different cultures that the US would consider wellness or self-care. The author is a journalist, and she has worked for many different magazines, including wellness magazines. And she starts off the book by talking about how she had become a little disillusioned with the wellness industry in America. Mostly about how it was so commercialized and very commodity-based, and that a lot of wellness in America centers around this idea that you can buy the perfect product or drink the perfect drink or eat the perfect diet, and suddenly all of your mental health issues will be clear and you'll live this life of perfect wellness and balance. And after working for these magazines and seeing these different products, she realized that she wasn't necessarily feeling any better, and she wanted to see how the rest of the world looked at wellness. So she travels to 6 different countries, and in each country she picks up on one kind of generalized theme that she finds runs throughout the country that the US would categorize as a wellness topic, but for the people in these countries is kind of just part of their daily lives. So she goes to Jamaica, Norway, Hawaii, Japan, India, and Brazil. And one thing that I really appreciated about the author is that very early on in the book, up front, she acknowledges that she is a white woman, that she is traveling to some non-white countries, and that also her ability to travel and study these different topics stems from a place of privilege. And she is very conscientious of her privilege throughout the book, and she also does a really good job of talking about the history of these different countries and the not so great aspects of the history. So a lot of discussion about slavery and colonialism and how it's informed some of these topics. And how, for instance, when she goes to Jamaica, she talks to a lot of people who identify as Rastafari, and she goes into great detail about how Rastafari was a resistance movement that was born out of colonialism and resistance. And so she goes into a lot more detail about some things that tend to get glossed over when you're talking about wellness, because people tend to want to be more positive instead of more realistic and acknowledging the full truth. So I just found this book very, very interesting because the topics that are addressed within it are all ways of life for the people in these countries. So one of the areas that I focused on a lot was Norway, because I really want to travel to Norway, and they have a concept there that I'm not going to be able to pronounce, but it relates to getting outside and making sure that you just spend part of your day outside. And it's spelled FRILUFTSLIV. And it's all about incorporating being outside into your everyday life. And she talks a lot about how this is just part of life in Norway. People will make sure that they're dressed appropriately for all sorts of weather so that they can spend as much time outside as possible. Hiking is a big way of life in Norway, and a lot of people in Norway grew up going on big hikes on Sundays because that was the day that the family spent time together. So again, it's a concept that in the US would be marketed as this big wellness trend, but is just entrenched into Norwegian way of life. She also spoke a lot when she went to Hawaii about the concept of aloha, and a lot of us think of aloha as just a greeting, hello, but in Hawaii she talked to a lot of people who explained more in depth about the sense of connection through the concept of aloha. So I'm not going to go into too much more detail because you can read about it in the book. So she gets one topic that she latches onto from each country and talks to different people in these countries about how they see this concept playing out in their everyday lives and how it is entrenched in their lives and makes them feel more like whole people. So I found this book to just be really, really interesting, very illuminating. It changed the way that I look at how I view wellness and self-care, and I definitely want to think more broadly about my definition and expand it beyond what I also see as the US's kind of commercialized, commodified version of wellness into more of a way of life and a way of being well. So I hope that you'll check it out if you're interested in wellness, travel, different ways of living. This is a great book for you to check out. Again, it's Destination Wellness. We have a couple of copies in our collection. Really great, interesting read. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.